Hello everyone, I'm back with our third part of this tutorial where we are building this HyperX microphone from scratch, and I'm trying to make it more realistic as possible. And if you followed the last two tutorials, that's the point we stopped, right? We have the base of the microphone, we have the microphone here with the bottom and the top and this button and the USB input. Okay, and in this tutorial, we're gonna make these rings, these support rings here. Okay, both of them, the ones touching the microphone and those other rings here that attach to the base. So before we start, don't forget to give a like, subscribe to the channel, comment if you want to subscribe it. You can give me tips or hints about something that maybe you can do faster than the way I did here. Commenting is also one way you can show your support to the channel. So maybe if this tutorial have a good amount of views, I can make another one. I can invest more time making Blender tutorials. Okay, because as you know, this channel is not only focused on Blender, it's focused on creating AR experience, virtual reality experiences, where I use Blender, Photoshop, and other design softwares to build assets that can be used in the AR experience. And I create those AR experiences using Spark AR, TikTok Effect House, and sometimes uh, the one from Snapchat. I don't use it very often, but sometimes I use it. So let's get started. As always, I can't forget to activate the screencast keys here. Okay, I'm gonna get out of the way because sometimes I block this portion of the screen. Okay, so let me leave the screen. I'm gonna hide the base. We won't touch it right now. And what I want to do now is to parent all these meshes, the microphone meshes, the base, the top, the buttons. You can select all of them, pressing shift always, holding shift, and click on them. I want to select this main part last. So I'm gonna select the bottom, the top, the bottom, this portion here, the cylinder in the center, and the last thing I want to select is the grid. That's the main part here. And now I can press Ctrl P, and then I'm gonna parent all the meshes we selected to the last one we selected. So we're gonna choose the second options here, keep transform. So now when I drag this grid part, for example, press G, everything is gonna follow it. Okay, if I rotate it, everything is gonna rotate as well. Okay, and I made this because I want to center our microphone, to put it here in the center of the 3D world. Okay, and you can see that everything, all the meshes are inside the grid mesh now. And now I want to move our object to the center of our 3D world, because if you pay attention, there's a little offset. If I try to rotate around the z-axis, you can see there's an offset. The pivot point is not in the center of our object. So let's put the origin, set the origin to geometry, origin to geometry, okay? And now if you rotate around Z, you can see it's exactly in the middle. And now let's bring it to the center. I'm gonna select the microphone, press Shift S, and selection to cursor. And now our microphone is right here in the center. Now we can move it up. That's G, Z, around here. Okay. Let's scale down the reference image a little bit. Trying to make it fit so you have an idea of the size of the rings. Yeah, I think it's about right, okay? And now let's create the first ring. This one here. This one. Okay. I couldn't find in the internet a good picture showing the details of this ring. So I take a picture of my own microphone. I'm gonna leave it in the description of the video as well. In this picture, you can see better the details of this ring. You can see we have this curved part here. We have the holes for the screws. We're gonna model the screws as well. I have those pieces here. Okay, I already modeled this ring a few times, and I think I found the best way to make it. And if you follow along, you're gonna get a good result as well. So let's start by creating a circle. So Shift A, mesh, circle, and our circle gonna have 128 vertices. I'm gonna also hide this Bezier circle that we don't need anymore. Let's select our circle and go to edit mode. And I'm gonna also hide the microphone and the back image, so you have a better view of our circle. And before we delete half of our vertices to apply the mirror modifier, let's select everything, extrude, and press S to scale. Let's leave it around this. To have a better idea of the size, let's position it around the microphone. It's going to be around here. Scale it down. Scale it down a little more. I think around here is okay. Because remember, there are some pieces. There are those pieces here that touch the microphone. Press Ctrl A to apply the scale. Let's go back to edit mode. I'm gonna scale it up a little bit, like this. So you have a thinner border here. Select everything, press A, and extrude around the Z-axis. And let's try to make it around the same height as the reference. Around here. I think we're good. Let's move it down a little bit. Like this. Okay, now I'm gonna hide the microphone again. Let's delete half of our circle. Select the X-ray mode. Select half of our vertices. Press X, delete vertices, and apply the mirror modifier. Let's select clipping. Toggle the X-ray. Now what we can do is to model the holes for the screws. Okay, so we're gonna use the same strategy we used to make the holes in the microphone. So let's first draw an hexagon shape using the knife tool, starting from here until here. Press enter. Try to make around the same size, but doesn't need to be perfect because we're gonna use the loop tools to make it a perfect circle. Select everything, right click, loop tools, circle. Let's press E to inset. And you can see, because we use the mirror modifier, it divides our circle in half. So to avoid this, press B. Then you turn off the boundary. I think around here is okay. And now you can come here to face, extrude along normals, and extrude it inside the ring. Okay, remember, we're gonna put our screws here. Let's now create the other hole. Yeah, the holes, they follow the axis, okay? So this first one, it's right above the y-axis, and the next one's gonna be right above the x-axis. It's on the side. So press 3 to get the side view. Let me move it up a little bit. Around here. Okay, so now let's create the other screw hole. Press K to activate the knife tool. And let's try to draw our hexagon. Such an ugly hexagon. I'm trying to make it look nicer, but doesn't matter. Let's select those faces, right click, loop tools, circle. I to inset. Come to face, extrude along normals. And now in the front part, you're gonna have to split. Gonna have to cut some faces here because we have this button. Okay. So let's try to delete until around here, maybe. Oh, don't forget to activate the X-ray mode. Okay. Let's go to the top view. Select these faces, X, delete vertices. And you can see here, our microphone is a little rotated to the right side. So let's rotate it around the Z axis. Rotate Z. Rotate Z around here. Okay, I think we're okay like this. Let's hide the microphone. And I forgot one thing. I forgot we had to add 2 loop cuts in both sides. So let's add it now. So we wouldn't have this face with more than 4 vertices here. So I can do it now. So let's add, Ctrl R, scroll the mouse up, right click. And now let's connect these vertices here. So when we apply the subdivisions modifier, we won't have any problem. Let's close this face. Select these edges. Press F. Let's connect those vertices here. Press K. Now let's do the shade smooth. Okay. we're gonna need to apply subdivision modifier and also a bevel modifier. Bevel before the subdivision, okay? And we're gonna increase the angle because you can see that it applied some bevels inside here. So maybe 60. Yeah, 60 is fine. And then decrease the amount to 0 0.01, 0 0.001. Maybe increase the number of segments. Or no. Like this is okay, I think. Only one. And now let's create those pieces. Those ones here. So let's follow this pattern. Let's select the first one right in the division of the mirror modifier. Let's skip 4. Select these two columns. Skip 2 columns. Select these two here. And now let's select the ones in the back of this hole. These ones here. Select this. Skip 4. Select this. Skip 2. Select this. The same thing in the other side. Skip 4. Skip 2. Okay, now let's extrude it along the normals. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, it's almost touching the microphone. Can scale it down a little bit. So it touched the microphone. And now we're gonna create these curves. These curves here in both sides. To do this, let's select the proportional editing. Shortcut is the letter O. Let's select these edges here in the middle. Let's select the top view so you can have an idea of what's going on. Press G. You can scroll the mouse wheel to control the size of the area your proportional editing gonna affect. And you can try to make it around like this. Maybe it was too much. Let me undo. G. To around here. Same thing here. Let's select around here. Or here. Oops. Okay. We have these two curves. And the last part is gonna do this tip here. That is a little round. So to achieve this effect, let's select this middle face with our proportional editing still selected. Let's drag it a little bit here. And now you can see we have this round tip. Okay. And the last thing is to add another hole for this screw here. So let's make it, it's gonna be around here. Let's select these faces. Right click, loop tools, circle, inset, and extrude it. And extrude it around, along normals. Okay, now I finish this ring. And what we're gonna do now are those pieces here, where the rope's gonna go around it. Okay, so this time we're gonna use the mirror modifier. So let's start creating a new mesh. Let's go to object mode. Let's create one cube, Shift A, mesh cube. Scale it down. Don't move it outside the center yet, only when you go to edit mode, okay? Scale it down a little more. Ctrl A to apply the scale. Let's go to edit mode now. Select this face. Let's grab around the axis around here. Let's add one loop cut here. Select this face and extrude it along the z-axis. Let's add one bevel. Select bevel. Decrease the amount to 0.001. I think it's okay. Zero point zero zero two. I think it's better now. The number of segments to 2. Okay. Let's see how it looks like when you position in the right place. So in the edit mode, let's drag it through one of those curves here. You can manually move it here, but there's a better way I'm going to teach you now. We can first move our 3D cursor to the point we want to move our mesh. So let's choose this vertices here, this edge here. Press Shift S and move cursor to selection. Cursor to selected here. So now the cursor is here. And now we can move our object, this one here, to the 3D cursor. So with the object selected, in the edit mode, okay, Shift S and selection to cursor, keep offset, okay? And now you can rotate it around the Z-axis. Rotate around the Z-axis like this. Scale it down. Remember to uncheck the proportional editing. We don't need it anymore. Okay, GZ. Let me move it a little further. Because remember, the rope gonna pass around here. Okay, this portion gonna go up a little more. Select the top face. G and Z. They're around here. It's around the same height. And the bottom needs to be moved down a little bit too. GZ. Around here. Okay, now let's select these edges here. These edges. Press G, and move it a little bit. Because this part is not so thick. Like this. Okay, now we can apply the mirror modifier. Around the X axis. And around the Y axis too. Yeah, I think it's good. Let me increase this amount in the bevel a little bit. 0.004. Okay, shade smooth. Okay, I think we're done with this ring. What we need to do now is the bolt here, the screw. In the picture you can see here we have this kind of screw. And we're gonna do it very quickly. We don't need to make it very detailed because it's just a small detail in our model. So let's create another collection. We're gonna call it rings. I'm gonna drag these two pieces here. I'm gonna hide it. Let's move our 3D cursor back to the center of the world, because if you don't move it, everything we create is gonna spawn here. Okay, and not in the center of our world. So Shift S, cursor to world origin here. Now let's create one circle. And this circle gonna have 12 vertices. Okay, select top view. Let's go to edit mode. Let's extrude it. And press S to scale. Scale it down. Around here. Let's select everything and extrude it again along the Z axis. And let's select each other edge. So select this one, this one, this one. Always skipping one, okay? And now gonna scale it down. Press S to scale it down, but you have to hold Shift Z so that you don't scale in the Z axis, okay? Otherwise, this is gonna happen. The Z axis is gonna get smaller and smaller, and you don't want that. You want that the height keeps the same. So let me undo it. Press S, Shift Z, and hold it, and scale it down. You're around here. Okay, and now let's apply the subdivision modifier. Let's increase the levels. And let's add some support loop cuts. But before, let's delete this bottom part. We won't need it because we won't see it in our model. So let's delete these bottom faces. X, delete faces. Okay. Now let's add one loop cut here. Drag it up. Let's add another loop cut here in the middle. You can scale it down a little bit. And let's add another loop cut at the top. Okay. Shade smooth. And now let's just add one circle here in the back. So let's select those edges, the bottom edges. Press Shift D to duplicate. And let's go to face and grid fill. Okay. So now we have this face at the bottom. We can add another loop cut. We can drag it down a little bit because it's clipping here. So GZ. Okay. And let's add another loop cut here. Okay. Now we have our bolt, our screw, and we can place it in the right positions. So let's scale it down. Ctrl A applies the scale. And let's position it here. So let's select this edge here. Let's do the same trick. Let's move the 3D cursor to this edge, Shift S, 3D cursor to selected, cursor to selected here. Select the screw. Let's go to edit mode. Select everything, Shift S, selection to cursor, keep offset. Okay. Now we can rotate around the y-axis, R, Y, 90. Oops. Oh, I am in the object mode, so it's rotating around the origin. And the origin right now, it's in that point here. So let's go back to edit mode. R to rotate, Y, and 90. Okay. Scale it down a little bit. Do around here. Let's move a little outside. GX. Okay. I think it's good. Maybe increase the size a little bit. In the edit mode, okay. Okay, now we have our first screw. Let's name it here screw. Screw. And let's duplicate and add another screw here. So Shift D. And in the object mode, okay, let's rotate around the z-axis 90 degrees. So R, Z, 90. Oops, it went to the other side, so it's gonna be minus 90, okay? So R, Z, minus 90. Okay, it is in the right position. And now we have to add one screw here too. So let's duplicate again. Shift D, R, Z, and let's try to make it move to here. Okay. rotate around the z-axis to here. Okay. And now you can select this one and apply the mirror modifier. So it's going to be added to the other side too. And the same thing with this one here. Let's apply the mirror modifier. And as you can see, it didn't go to the right position. It's here in the opposite side. This is because you need to apply the rotation. So Shift A, Control A, and apply rotation. Okay, so now it's in the right position. So now we finally complete our first ring, and we can duplicate the entire thing and mirror it along the z-axis to get this other one, the bottom ring. Okay, so before we join the ring, these pieces and the screws, it's important that you save. You duplicate everything. Let me move to the screws to this collection. Duplicate everything. Press Shift D to duplicate and move it to the backup folder. Okay, the backup collection. Now let's see if everything is okay. Yes, everything looks fine. Perfect. And now we can join everything, but before join everything, we need to apply the mirror modifier, bevel. Let's apply all the modifiers, okay? Oops, I deleted by mistake. Apply the screws as well. Apply all of them. I just realized these pieces are too thin. I'm gonna undo. Okay, let's undo this modifiers until here. Okay, before applying the modifier in those pieces, I want to make it a little thicker. So let's select one of those sides. Press G. Grab it here. Okay, it looks better now. And now we can apply the modifiers again. Now let's select everything and press Ctrl J to join them. Okay, now they turned into a single mesh. And now we can mirror it along the z-axis. Let's apply the mirror on the z. And in the edit mode, let's select everything. GZ to move it up to around here. Let's go back to object mode. And drag it down. Let's go back to edit mode. GZ. Okay. Perfect. Now let's just adjust it in the object mode. Okay, let's move it down a little bit here, because it's right in the middle of the button. Okay, perfect. Now that we finished these rings, let's start with this other ring here. The process is gonna be very similar. We're gonna make the top part and then mirror the bottom part. And before we continue, don't forget to give a like, subscribe, and comment in the video, okay? To show your support to this tutorial. It was a lot of work to finish this tutorial, so please hit that like button, okay? Now, let's keep going. So in the next step, as I mentioned before, we're gonna build these two outer rings. And I also didn't find a good picture of it on the internet. I tried to take one picture of my microphone here. I tried to zoom in this part so you can have an idea of what we're going to build now. So let's start by hiding this circle here and the microphone. And let's add a circle. Shift A, mesh, circle with 128 vertices, okay? Let's go to edit mode, select the edge selection here. And let's extrude, press E and S to scale until around this size, maybe a little more. And now let's add two loop cuts. One loop cut, you drag it closer to this inner side, and another loop cut, you drag it closer to the outer side. This is important because we're going to create these holes here. So we're going to need these loop cuts. Now press A, select everything, and let's extrude along the z-axis. And to have an idea of the size, let's bring back our microphone. Let's go back to object mode and facing the side view here. Let's drag it up, GZ, to around here. Scale it down a little. Let's go back to edit mode and drag it up a little bit. Only the top faces. Okay. The size is good, seems good. And now let's hide the microphone again. And we're gonna use the mirror in both x-axis and y-axis. So let's select the X-ray mode. Let's select the faces. Select the left side. Press X, delete faces. And let's also select the stop part here. X, delete faces. And let's add the mirror modifier. Select the y-axis as well. And don't forget to click on clipping. And now let's do those extrusions. These ones here. So let's start selecting these faces here. You're going to skip two faces after the mirror. Let's select 4. Do the same at the bottom here. Skip 2. Select this 4. And now you skip 1. And select all the rest. Until here. And now let's extrude. Press E. And drag it down. I took the X-ray mode so I can see it better, the inside part. Okay, I think it's good here. Let's shade smooth. You can see we have a problem here. That's because we need a bevel. Let's apply the scale, Ctrl A, scale. Let's also decrease this amount here to 0.002. I think one segment is enough. And let's also add one subdivision surface. There's a shortcut to add subdivisions. It's Ctrl and the number of subdivisions you want. In this case, I'm gonna tap Ctrl 2. So we have the subdivision applied already here with 2 levels. Okay, or maybe one's enough. And you can see that after we apply the subdivision, there are some problems here. This might be because there are some overlapping edges when we apply the bevel. So what we're gonna do, instead of choosing the angle method, we're gonna choose the weight. Okay, and we're gonna select the edges we want to apply our bevel. So let's go back to edit mode. And let's select these edges at the border, all of them, the top and at the bottom. And let's come here to this item menu. If you don't see this menu, you can press here in this little arrow or press the shortcut N. And choose the first option here, item. And then let's drag this mean bevel weight to 1. Then we add bevel only in the selected edges. Okay, let's do the same thing to those edges here. Drag it, the mean bevel weight until 1. I think we're good now. Let me increase the number of subdivision. Okay. I think we're good now. You can also add bevel in those edges inside. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, let's do that. And when I click in this little button here, I can toggle the view between our mesh without the subdivision and with the subdivision. And because when we apply the subdivision, we can't see the edges inside here, I toggle this button. So it's better to select these edges. Okay, now let's increase the mean bevel to 1. And toggle the subdivision view here. Okay, now it looks much better. And what is missing now are 2 holes, one in each side here, where the rope, this rope here, gonna pass. So let's create these little holes. Let's select this edge here, press GG to drag it to the left. Actually, let's undo this. We need to select both edges in the top and at the bottom here. Okay, and now we can press GG, drag it here. I'm gonna toggle this button again so you can have a better view of those faces. And now let's select the top face and the bottom face. Let's press E to set. This edge here is missing the bevel, so increase the mean bevel weight to 1. And now right click, select loop tools and circle. It's a little big, you see it's clipping this edge here. We can rotate around the z-axis like this. And now we're gonna click again with the right button of the mouse, and let's select the option bridge faces. And we choose this option, the two faces we selected gonna connect, and this hole gonna open. Okay, and now if I toggle the subdivision on again, you can see we have this hole. Okay, and let's do the same thing in the other side. Like these two edges, press G 2 times to drag it here. Select these two faces, press I to inset, increase the mean bevel weight. I think it's still too big, so press S, Shift Z, so you only scale down in the Y and X axis. Okay, now right click, loop tools, circle, rotate again to fix this clipping problem here. Rotate around the Z axis. What's going on here? There's some shading problem. Don't know what's going on here. Let me drag it up. Let me try to move it. And now let's connect. Right click, bridge faces. Okay. And we're done. Now it's just missing two places here to put the screws. So let's rotate it around the x-axis. Rotate RX 180 degrees. So you can see the top part like this. And now we're gonna have to apply our mirrors modifier. Let's go back to object mode. Apply. And we're gonna have to rotate this ring around the z-axis, so we can have this portion here in front of our button. Okay, so RZ, like this. Let's go back to edit mode. Try to place it right in the middle like this, because we're gonna delete one side, the left side again. Let's go to the top view. In edit mode, toggle the X-ray mode, and let's delete half of our faces. X faces. Let's apply a mirror again. Select Ctrl A and apply the rotation. Okay. And drag the mirror to the beginning here of our stack of modifiers. And don't forget to click on clipping. There's a little gap here. Let's move it. Until it connects. Let's see if it's okay here. Select those edges and try to move it. Yeah, they're connected. Okay, now let's add the two holes around here to place the screw. So select these two faces, right click, loop tools, circle, I to inset, and E to extrude. And okay, I think we're done here. I think we finished this ring. And now you can mirror it along the Z axis as well. So let's try to place it in the right position. On the side view here, let's go back to edit mode. And before we drag it up, let's click and check the clipping, because we want to move. We want to split these two parts, these two rings apart. Maybe around here is okay. Let's go back to object mode, GZ. Let's go back to edit mode, Z. Okay. Okay, I think we're done here. We are done with this ring as well. So let's uncheck the base, the rings. And as you can see, we are almost done. We have almost everything here. Now I have to create those cylinders to connect the top ring and the bottom ring. Let's do that. So let's add a cylinder, Shift A, cylinder. Let's press S to scale. And let's go to edit mode. And let's try to place it here, okay, between these two holes. So let's move our 3D cursor to this edge here. Shift S, cursor to selected. And now let's bring our cylinder to this cursor. So let's select the cylinder now. Shift S. Oops, don't forget to go to edit mode, because we want to keep our origin point in the middle, okay? Otherwise the mirror won't work. So let's go to edit mode, and now Shift S, selection to cursor, keep offset, like this. Okay. Now we can add the mirror modifier in both X and Y axis. And let's scale down. This side is fine. Let's select this bottom face, G to grab, and Z to grab around along the Z axis. That's it. Okay. Oh, we're missing the screws here. So you can select one of those screws we made. So select this ring. Let's go back to edit mode. And now we're gonna have to select only the screw, okay? To do this, you can hover over the screw and press L. And when we do this, only the objects that have the vertices connected are selected. So for example, if I want to select only this piece here, I hover over it and press L, and then I can select only this, okay? So let's select the screw again, L. Let's press Shift D to duplicate, okay? And press P to separate the selection. And now we're gonna have the screw here. So let's rename it. I'm gonna name it screw. Let's rename these rings to smaller rings, maybe. And now let's position this screw here. First, let's go to edit mode. Let me hide the microphone and the rings. Select everything and rotate 90 degrees around the y-axis. RY 90. Actually, minus 90. We have to rotate minus 90, Ctrl Z, rotate Y minus 90. Okay. And we have this mirror modifier here around the Z axis. Let's select X and check the Z. Now let's place it on top of these two holes here. Okay. Like this. And also gonna have to activate the Z mirror because we want to place two screws here too as well. So Z. Okay, it's not quite right, but you can apply it now. Let's go to edit mode. Let's select these two screws. So press L, L, and drag it up, GZ. And now we have our screws here too. Okay, now let's select those cylinder, right click and shade smooth. Let's add a bevel so you can fix the shading problem. Bevel 0.001. Okay. Okay guys, I think we're done with these rings. The microphone, the smaller rings. Let's name this one bigger rings. Bigger rings. Let's parent those cylinders to our rings. So select the cylinder, select the ring, press Ctrl P, and object keep transform. Okay. Now if you decide to move our rings, the cylinder moves together. And now to complete our microphone, we only need to make the rope and this connection here, this joint between the ring and the base. Okay, but since this tutorial is too long already, I'm gonna finish it here, and in the next tutorial we're gonna complete our microphone. Okay, we're gonna make the rope and this joint. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and if you are following along since the first tutorial and you are making a microphone as well, and you're gonna post on your social media, Instagram or whatever, you can tag me there, or you can post the link here in the comments, and I would love to see the results of this tutorial that you're following. Okay, I know that if you are a beginner, you're probably gonna have some struggles to finish this tutorial, because even though I'm trying to make it beginner friendly, trying to explain each shortcut, each modifiers, and I know it's very hard for beginners just to move around, just to navigate here in the screen. It's a struggle. So if you're a beginner and you are facing a hard time making it, don't give up. Go try to model an easier object. There are thousands of tutorials on the internet, on YouTube, where you can learn to do simpler things. And if you're a beginner and you arrive until here, congratulations. It's not an easy thing to model. Okay, it's not an easy object to model, this microphone. And in the next tutorial, we're gonna finally finish it. So see you there. Bye.